This is my true story. My son made me kneel and scrub his floor at 82 years old. My knees cracked, my back screamed, but he just laughed and kept filming. All those years I worked myself to the bone for him meant nothing. He treated me worse than a dog. But when he opened his safe the next morning, he screamed so loud the neighbors heard. What he found inside changed everything. I took something from him that he'll never get back, but you won't believe what I did next. Before that, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. And please subscribe to this channel so that my stories can reach more people. I worked 2 jobs for 40 years straight. Morning shift at the factory, night shift driving trucks. My hands were always cut up, my back always hurt, but I never complained because I was building something for my son. I wanted him to have everything I never had growing up. I paid for his private school when other kids went to public school. I paid for his college when he wanted to study business. I bought him his first car, a nice one, not some beat-up junk. I paid for his entire wedding, the big fancy one his wife demanded with 200 guests and an open bar. I even gave him $50,000 to start his business when the banks said no. Every single dollar I made went to him. My wife and I lived small so he could live big. We never went on vacations. We never bought new things for ourselves. Everything was for him, always for him. Then my wife died 2 years ago, and I was alone in our little house. The silence killed me every single day. My son called and said I should move in with him and his wife. He said family takes care of family. He said I shouldn't be alone at my age. I believed him. I thought he actually cared. I sold my house and gave him the money to help with his mortgage. I moved into his big house thinking I would finally have family around me again, thinking my son would take care of me the way I took care of him all those years. I was so stupid, so blind, so desperate to believe my own son had a heart. The first month was okay. He was polite. His wife smiled at me. They let me eat dinner with them. But then things changed fast. He started giving me orders like I was his employee. Take out the trash, do the dishes, vacuum the living room, mop the kitchen floor, cook dinner for his friends, serve drinks at his poker games. I thought maybe he was just stressed from work, so I did what he asked. I wanted to help. I wanted to be useful. But it got worse every single week. He stopped saying please and thank you. He started snapping his fingers at me like I was a dog. His wife started bossing me around too, telling me to iron his shirts and clean their bathroom. They made me sleep in the basement on an old couch that hurt my back. They said the guest room was for real guests, not for me. I ate my meals alone in the kitchen after they finished. They never invited me to sit with them anymore. When his friends came over, he made me serve them food and drinks while wearing an apron. They laughed at me. They made jokes about the old man butler. My son laughed the loudest. He didn't defend me. He didn't tell them to stop. He joined in and made it worse. I felt my heart breaking piece by piece, but I had nowhere else to go. I had no money left. I had no house. I had nothing. I was trapped in my own son's home, being treated like garbage by the person I sacrificed everything for. Every night I cried in that basement, asking God why my son turned into this monster. Asking my dead wife to forgive me for not seeing who our son really was. But I stayed quiet. I kept my head down. I kept working like his servant because I was too scared and too broken to fight back. I thought maybe if I just did what he wanted, he would remember that I'm his father. That I'm the man who gave up everything so he could have everything. But he never remembered. He never cared. And the worst was still coming. My son stopped calling me Dad. He started calling me by my first name like I was just some guy off the street. Robert, do this. Robert, do that. Robert, hurry up. His wife called me old man to my face and he never corrected her. They talked about me like I wasn't even in the room. Like I was furniture. Like I was nothing. One day his business partners came over for a meeting. My son told me to make coffee and sandwiches for everyone. I did it. I brought everything out on a tray. My hands were shaking because I was tired. I was always tired. One of the men said thank you, but my son said don't thank him. He's just doing his job. His job, like I worked for him, like he paid me. I wanted to scream that I'm your father, that I raised you, that I gave you everything. But I just walked back to the kitchen and cried over the sink. His wife started treating me even worse than he did. She made me clean her bathroom every single day. She made me wash her car in the driveway while the neighbors watched. She yelled at me if I didn't fold the towels the right way. She complained to my son that I was useless and slow and taking up space. He agreed with her. He said I needed to work harder if I wanted to stay in his house. His house. The house I helped him buy with my money. They made me cook all their meals, but I had to eat separately. I couldn't sit at the table with them anymore. They said I chewed too loud and it was disgusting. So I ate standing up in the kitchen or sitting on a stool in the corner like a dog. They threw away my favorite chair because his wife said it was ugly. That chair was the one my wife sat in. The one that still smelled like her. I begged them not to throw it away, but they did it anyway. They laughed when I cried about it. My son started having parties every weekend, loud music, drunk people, mess everywhere. He made me clean up after everyone left. Beer bottles, spilled food, vomit in the bathroom. I cleaned it all at 2 in the morning while my back screamed and my knees gave out. He never helped. He never said thank you. He just went to bed and left me to deal with the disaster. One night they had a dinner party with 6 couples, fancy people with expensive clothes and fake smiles. My son made me wear an apron and serve everyone like I was the waiter. I brought out plates of food I cooked. I poured their wine. I cleared their dishes. They barely looked at me. One woman snapped her fingers and pointed at her empty glass. I filled it. She didn't say a word. My son watched me the whole time with this cold look on his face, like he enjoyed seeing me broken down like this, like it made him feel powerful. After everyone left, his wife complained that I moved too slow and embarrassed them. My son agreed. He said I was getting old and useless. He said maybe it was time to start looking at nursing homes for me. Nursing homes. He wanted to throw me away like trash after everything I did for him. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart breaking anymore. Something darker. Something that felt like hate. I realized my son wasn't going to change. He wasn't going to wake up one day and remember that I'm his father. This was who he was now. A cruel man who got pleasure from watching me suffer a monster I created by giving him everything and teaching him nothing about respect or gratitude. I made him this way by spoiling him, by never saying no, by sacrificing too much, and now I was paying the price for my mistakes. But the worst humiliation was still coming. The night that would change everything forever. It was a Friday night, and my son had his poker buddies over again. 8 men sitting around the dining table smoking cigars and drinking expensive whiskey. I cooked them steaks and brought out plates of food. I kept their drinks filled. I stood in the corner waiting for orders like a servant. They ignored me completely, except when they needed something. My son was losing money that night. I could tell because his face got red and his voice got mean. He drank more whiskey. He slammed his cards down. His friends were laughing and taking his money, and he hated it. Then he knocked over his wine glass. Red wine spilled all over his white marble floor, the expensive floor his wife picked out. The floor she bragged about to everyone. The wine spread out in a big dark puddle. Everyone at the table went quiet. My son looked at the mess, and then he looked at me. His eyes were cold and mean. He pointed at the floor and said, "Robert, get down and clean that up right now." I said, "Let me get the mop." He said, "No. Get down on your knees and scrub it with your hands. Do it now." I just stood there. I couldn't believe what he was saying. His friends were all watching. Nobody said anything. Nobody told him to stop. My son stood up and walked over to me. He was drunk and angry, and I could smell the whiskey on his breath. He said, "I told you to get on your knees, old man. Are you deaf or just stupid? Do it now or get out of my house tonight." I looked at his face and saw nothing. No love, no respect, no memory of who I was or what I did for him. Just cold, empty eyes. I got down on my knees. My old knees that were already in pain every single day. The marble floor was hard and cold. My kneecaps hit the stone, and pain shot up through my legs. I heard something pop in my left knee. I got a rag from my pocket and started wiping up the wine. My hands were shaking. The wine was sticky and stained. I scrubbed and scrubbed while 8 men watched me, while my son stood over me like a king. Then I heard a click. I looked up and saw my son holding his phone. He was recording me. He was filming his 82-year-old father on his knees scrubbing the floor like a dog. He was smiling. Actually smiling. His friends started laughing. One of them said, "That's hilarious, man." Another one said, "You got him trained good." My son laughed louder. He said, "Yeah, the old man does whatever I tell him. Watch this." He put his foot on my back and pushed down. Not hard enough to knock me over, but hard enough to make his point. Hard enough to show everyone that he owned me. I kept scrubbing. Tears ran down my face and mixed with the wine on the floor. My knees were screaming. My back felt like it was breaking. My heart felt like it already broke into 1,000 pieces. I wanted to die right there on that floor. I wanted my wife to come take me away from this nightmare. I couldn't believe this was my life now. Couldn't believe my own son hated me this much. Couldn't believe I raised a monster who would do this to his own father. It took me 10 minutes to clean that wine. 10 minutes on my knees while they laughed and made jokes. When I finally finished, my son said, "Good boy," and they all laughed again. I tried to stand up, but my knees wouldn't work right. I fell back down. Nobody helped me. They just kept laughing. I had to crawl to a chair and pull myself up. My left knee was swollen and throbbing. I could barely walk. I limped back to the basement and cried until I couldn't breathe. That night I didn't sleep at all. I just laid there in the dark, thinking about that video on his phone. Thinking about how he would show it to people and laugh about it. Thinking about how much I wanted him to feel the pain he made me feel. And that's when I remembered something. Something important. Something he forgot about. The safe. I laid on that basement couch all night with my knee swollen up like a balloon. The pain was so bad I couldn't move. I couldn't even get up to use the bathroom. I just laid there in the dark, staring at the ceiling and feeling the tears run down into my ears. My whole body hurt, but my heart hurt worse. I kept seeing my son's face when he pushed his foot into my back. Kept hearing his friends laugh at me. Kept thinking about that video on his phone he was going to show everyone. He was going to send it to people and make me a joke. His 82-year-old father on his knees scrubbing wine off the floor while he recorded it for fun. I thought about my wife, about how she died in my arms 2 years ago. Her last words kept playing in my head over and over. She grabbed my hand real tight and looked me in the eyes and said, "Never let anyone steal your worth. Not even our son." She knew. Even back then she knew what kind of man he was becoming. She saw it before I did. She tried to warn me, but I didn't listen. I made excuses for him. I said he's just stressed from work. I said he's just going through a hard time. I said he'll come around. But she knew the truth. She knew he was rotten inside. I cried thinking about all the years I wasted on him, all the money I gave him, all the sacrifices I made. Working myself half to death so he could have nice things, missing my wife's doctor appointments because I had to work extra shifts to pay for his college. Not being there when she needed me because I was too busy making money for him, and for what? So he could treat me like garbage. So he could film me scrubbing his floor and laugh about it with his drunk friends. So he could push me with his foot like I was an animal. The soap from the rag had gotten into a cut on my hand and it burned. My knees were still throbbing. My back felt like someone stuck a knife in it, but none of that hurt as bad as knowing my own son hated me. Knowing he got joy from watching me suffer. Knowing I meant nothing to him except free labor. I was just a thing he used. Not a father, not a person, just a thing. I thought about leaving, just walking out the door and never coming back. But where would I go? I had no money. He controlled everything. I gave him access to my accounts to help manage my finances after my wife died. I was so stupid, so trusting. I thought he would take care of me. Instead, he took everything and left me with nothing. No money, no home, no dignity, nothing. I was trapped and he knew it. That's why he treated me this way. Because he could. Because I had nowhere to go and no way to fight back. But then I remembered something. Something that made my heart beat faster. Something that changed everything. My son's safe. The big safe in his office upstairs. He thought I didn't know the combination. He thought I was too old and too stupid to remember things. But I knew it. I had known it for months. I saw him open it one day when he thought I wasn't looking. I watched his fingers on the keypad. 6 numbers. 291763. His birthday backwards. I remembered it. I wrote it down on a piece of paper and hid it in my sock. I didn't know why I did it at the time. I just did. Maybe some part of me knew I would need it someday. Inside that safe was everything, all my money that he was managing for me, my life savings, over $1 million, the bonds my wife and I bought together, her jewelry that he took from me and locked away. Everything that was mine. Everything he stole. And he had no idea I knew how to get to it. That night, on that basement couch with my knees screaming and my heart broken, I made a decision. I was done being his victim. Done being his servant. Done letting him destroy what was left of my life. He wanted to treat me like nothing. Fine. I would become nothing. I would disappear. But I was taking everything with me. My son thought age made me weak, thought it made me helpless and stupid. He looked at me and saw an old man with bad knees and a broken spirit. He thought I would just keep taking his abuse forever because I had no choice. He forgot that I built a whole life before he was born, forgot that I ran businesses and managed money and survived things he couldn't imagine. He saw my gray hair and my wrinkled hands and thought I was nothing. But he was wrong. I was sharper than he knew. I saw everything. I remembered everything, including the combination to his safe. It was 6 months ago when I first saw it. I was cleaning his office like he told me to do, dusting his desk and emptying his trash. He came in drunk one afternoon and didn't notice I was there. He went straight to the safe behind his bookshelf. I watched him from the corner while I pretended to dust. His fingers pressed the numbers on the keypad. 291763. His birthday backwards. February 9th, 1976. He was drunk and sloppy and didn't care if anyone saw. He opened the safe and pulled out a stack of cash. Then he closed it and left the room without even looking at me. Like I was invisible. Like I didn't matter enough to hide secrets from. I wrote those numbers down on a piece of paper that night. I didn't know why. I just had a feeling I should remember them. I hid the paper in my sock drawer in the basement. The drawer he never looked in because my stuff didn't matter to him. I kept that paper there for 6 months. Sometimes I would take it out and look at it. Sometimes I thought about what was inside that safe. My money, my bonds, my wife's jewelry, everything that belonged to me that he locked away. After my wife died, I was a mess. I couldn't think straight, couldn't handle bills or bank accounts or any of it. My son offered to help. He said, "Dad, let me manage your finances for a while. You're too stressed. You're not thinking clearly. Just sign these papers and I'll take care of everything." I trusted him. I signed everything he put in front of me. I gave him power of attorney over my accounts. I thought he was helping me. I thought he cared, but he was stealing. He moved all my money into accounts I couldn't access. He told me it was for tax purposes, told me it was safer this way. I believed every lie because he was my son. He put everything in that safe. $1.2 million in cash and bonds. Money I saved for 40 years. Money that was supposed to take care of me for the rest of my life. My wife's jewelry that her mother gave her. The diamond necklace, the gold bracelets, the pearl earrings, things that meant everything to me because they were hers. He locked it all away and told me it was being stored safely. He said I could have it whenever I needed it. But when I asked for some money to buy new shoes because mine had holes in them, he said no. He said I needed to learn to budget better. Budget better. Me. The man who raised him on nothing and turned it into something. I laid on that basement couch thinking about that safe. Thinking about everything inside it that belonged to me. Everything he stole while pretending to help. I thought about how he made me scrub his floor on my knees. How he filmed it. How he laughed, how he pushed his foot into my back like I was dirt. And I thought about my wife's words. Never let anyone steal your worth, not even our son. She was right. She was always right. I let him steal my money. I let him steal my dignity. I let him steal my life. But I wasn't going to let him keep it. My son made one big mistake. He thought I was too old and too broken to fight back. He thought he won. He thought he broke me completely. But he forgot that the man he was torturing was the same man who built everything he had, the same man who knew how to plan, how to think, how to survive, and the same man who knew the combination to his safe. That was his mistake, and it was going to cost him everything. I didn't sleep that whole night. I just laid there with my knee throbbing and my mind racing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my son's face laughing at me, saw his foot pushing into my back. heard his friends making jokes. The anger inside me grew hotter and hotter until I couldn't think about anything else. I wanted him to hurt the way he hurt me. Wanted him to feel helpless and broken and scared. Wanted him to lose everything just like I did. And then it hit me. I could do that. I could take everything from him. Everything in that safe belonged to me anyway. It was my money, my wife's jewelry, my life savings that I earned. He stole it from me, and now I was going to steal it back. I started planning right there on that couch at 3 a.m. I thought about every detail, every step. I couldn't mess this up. I only had one chance. If he caught me, I would have nothing. He would throw me out on the street with no money and no way to survive. Or worse, he would call the cops and say I was stealing from him. He would lie and say it was his money. He had all the papers with his name on them. Papers I signed when I was grieving and stupid and trusting. Nobody would believe an old man over him. So I had to be smart, had to be careful, had to disappear before he knew what happened. First, I needed to get into that safe. That part was easy because I knew the combination. 291763. I had it memorized. I checked the paper in my sock drawer every day to make sure I didn't forget. But I needed to do it when he was asleep, when the house was quiet and nobody would hear me. My son slept like the dead, especially when he was drunk. And he was drunk almost every night now. That would work in my favor. Second, I needed bags to carry everything. The safe was big and full. I couldn't just stuff money in my pockets. I needed duffel bags or suitcases, something I could carry. I thought about the 2 old duffel bags in the basement storage closet, the ones from when my son played sports in high school. He forgot about them years ago. They were dusty, but they would work. Big enough to hold everything. Strong enough to carry the weight. Third, I needed a place to go. I couldn't just walk out with no plan. My son would find me. He would call the cops. He would hunt me down and take everything back I needed to disappear completely. Go somewhere he would never look. I thought about Canada, Toronto. I had a cousin there I hadn't talked to in 20 years. We were close when we were young. He always said if I ever needed anything to call him. I still had his number written in an old address book. Toronto was far enough away. Different country. Hard to track me down. I could start over there, live quiet, live free, live without my son's foot on my back. Fourth, I needed to move fast. Once I took the money, I had maybe 6 or 7 hours before he woke up and checked the safe. I had to be gone by then, far away. I looked up flights on my old phone that night. There was a 6 a.m. flight to Toronto. If I left the house at 4:30, I could make it to the airport by 5. Be on that plane before my son even woke up. Be in Canada before he knew what happened. I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Hope, power, control. My son thought he broke me, thought he owned me, thought I would just keep suffering until I died in his basement. But he was wrong. I was going to take everything from him and disappear like smoke. He would wake up tomorrow and find his safe empty, find his father gone, find his whole world falling apart. And there would be nothing he could do about it. Nothing. That thought made me smile for the first time in months. A real smile. Not the fake one I wore when he yelled at me. A smile that came from deep in my chest, from the part of me that survived. The part he couldn't kill. My son wanted to destroy me. Instead, he woke something up. Something angry. Something that remembered how to fight. And tomorrow morning he was going to pay for every single thing he did to me. I waited until 3 a.m. The house was completely silent. My son passed out drunk in his bedroom hours ago. I heard him stumbling up the stairs at midnight, yelling at his wife about losing money at poker again. Then nothing. Just silence. I laid on that couch, listening to every sound, every creak of the house, every car that passed outside. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would explode. My hands were shaking. My knee still hurt from scrubbing that floor, but I didn't care anymore. The pain made me angry, made me focused, made me ready. I got up slow and quiet. Every step hurt, but I moved through the dark basement like a ghost. I found those 2 old duffel bags in the storage closet, dusty and smelling like mold, but they would work. I carried them upstairs one at a time. The stairs creaked under my feet and I froze every time, waited to hear if anyone woke up. Nothing. Just my own breathing loud in my ears. I made it to the first floor. Then I had to get to his office. That's where the safe was, behind the bookshelf on the back wall. The office door was closed, but not locked. I turned the handle so slow it took a full minute. The door opened without a sound. I stepped inside and closed it behind me. The room was dark except for a little bit of light from the street coming through the window. I could see the outline of his desk, his computer, the bookshelf. My hands were shaking so bad I had to stop and breathe. I thought about turning back, thought about what would happen if he caught me, but then I remembered his foot on my back, remembered him laughing while I scrubbed his floor, remembered 2 years of being treated like trash. No, I wasn't turning back. Not now. Not ever. I moved the bookshelf just enough to get behind it. The safe was there, a big black metal box built into the wall. I pulled out the piece of paper from my pocket, 291763. I pressed the numbers on the keypad. Each beep sounded loud as a gunshot in the quiet. My heart was beating so hard I thought I would pass out. The last number, 6, 3. Then I heard a click. The lock opened. I pulled the handle and the safe door swung toward me. And there it was, everything. Stacks and stacks of cash wrapped in rubber bands, files full of bond certificates with my name on them, a wooden box with my wife's jewelry inside, everything he took from me, everything that was mine. I started loading the duffel bags. The cash went in first, hundreds of bills, thousands of dollars. I didn't count it, didn't have time. Just grabbed stack after stack and shoved them into the bags. My hands were shaking, but I kept going. The bonds went in next. Heavy paper files that barely fit. Then the jewelry box. I opened it for just a second and saw my wife's diamond necklace, the one I gave her on our 25th anniversary. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't stop. I closed the box and put it in the bag. Kept loading, kept moving. There was more cash in the back of the safe. More papers. I took it all, every single thing. When I was done, both bags were full and heavy, so heavy I could barely lift them. I zipped the bags closed and looked at the empty safe. Completely empty. Nothing left inside except dust. My son was going to open this in a few hours and lose his mind. The thought made me smile. I closed the safe door and spun the lock, pushed the bookshelf back into place. Picked up both bags and felt the weight of my freedom, $1.2 million, everything that was mine. I was taking it back, taking it all. I walked out of that office and didn't look back, didn't feel guilty, didn't feel bad. I felt strong, felt alive, felt like myself again. For the first time in 2 years, I went back down to the basement and grabbed my coat and my old wallet. I took the piece of paper with my cousin's number on it. Then I walked to the front door, put my key on the counter, and stepped out into the cold, dark morning air. Free. I took a taxi to the airport at 4:30 in the morning. The driver didn't ask questions, just loaded my 2 heavy bags in the trunk and drove. I sat in the back seat watching the city pass by through the window, watching my son's neighborhood disappear behind me. Every mile felt like freedom. Every minute felt like revenge. I got to the airport at 5:15, checked in for my flight. The woman at the counter asked if I was visiting family in Toronto. I said yes. She smiled and wished me a good trip. I made it through security with my bags. Nobody stopped me. Nobody asked what was inside just 2 old duffel bags that happened to be full of cash and jewelry and bonds. I sat at the gate waiting for my flight and checked my phone. No calls yet. No messages. My son was still asleep. Still had no idea what I did. The plane took off at 6 a.m. exactly. I sat in my window seat and watched the ground fall away below me. Watched everything get smaller and smaller until it was gone. I was in the air. I was free. I was never going back. My knees still hurt. My back still ached. But I felt better than I had in 2 years. I felt like a person again. Not a servant. Not a victim. A person who fought back and won. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Too much energy running through me, too much anger still burning, too much satisfaction thinking about what was coming next. My son woke up around 8:30 based on what I knew about his schedule. He always slept late on Saturdays, especially when he was drunk the night before. But he had a golf game at 10 and he needed cash for it. He always kept cash in the safe for golf and poker and going out. That's why he would check it this morning. That's why he would find out. I pictured him walking into his office, moving the bookshelf, opening the safe, and finding nothing. I pictured his face when he realized the confusion first, then the panic, then the terror. Everything gone. $1.2 million just vanished overnight, his whole world ending in one moment. My phone started ringing at 9 a.m. I was still on the plane. We were somewhere over New York. I looked at the screen and saw his name. My son calling. I didn't answer. I just watched it ring until it went to voicemail. Then it rang again, and again, and again. 5 calls in 2 minutes. I turned my phone on silent and put it in my pocket. Let him panic. Let him scream into the void. I wasn't his servant anymore. Wasn't his victim. Wasn't his father who had to answer when he called. I was just a man on a plane going to start a new life with money that belonged to me. The flight landed in Toronto at 11 a.m. I grabbed my bags from the overhead and walked through the airport like nothing happened. Went through customs. The officer asked why I was visiting Canada. I said to see family. He stamped my passport and let me through. That easy. I was in another country now, away from my son, away from that house, away from everything. I got another taxi and gave the driver my cousin's address. I called him from the cab and he picked up on the second ring. He was shocked to hear from me after 20 years. I told him I left my son's house and needed a place to stay for a while. He said of course. Said his door was always open. Said he was happy I finally got away from that situation. He knew. I had told him some things over the years. He knew my son was cruel. He just didn't know how bad it got. My phone buzzed over and over in my pocket. Calls, text messages, voicemails, all from my son. I finally looked at the screen. 53 missed calls. 53. He was losing his mind. Good. Let him lose it. Let him feel what it's like to have everything taken away. Let him feel helpless and scared and angry. Everything he made me feel for 2 years. I smiled and put my phone away. The taxi drove through Toronto toward my new life, and I never looked back. I got to my cousin's house around noon. He opened the door and hugged me tight, said I looked tired and thin and older than I should. He didn't ask about the bags, didn't ask why I left, just brought me inside and made me coffee and said I could stay as long as I needed. His wife was kind too. She set up their guest room for me, a real bed with clean sheets and a soft mattress, a room with a window and sunlight, not a basement with a broken couch and mold on the walls. I almost cried looking at that bed, looking at how normal people treat each other, looking at what respect looks like. I put my bags in the closet and locked the door. Then I finally checked my phone. 78 missed calls now, 26 voicemails, 40 text messages, all from my son. I sat on the edge of that bed and started reading the messages. The first ones were angry. Where are you? Call me right now. What did you do? You're in serious trouble, old man. Then they got more panicked. Dad, please answer. I need to talk to you. This isn't funny. Call me back. Then they got desperate. Dad, I'm begging you. Please come home. We can talk about this. I'm sorry. Please just answer the phone. I listened to the voicemails. The first one was him screaming, his voice so loud and angry it hurt my ears. Dad, what the hell did you do? Where's my money? Where's everything? You stole from me. I'm calling the cops. You're going to jail. I'm going to find you and make you pay. Then his wife in the background screaming too, calling me names, saying I was a thief and a liar, saying they were going to destroy me. I listened to the whole thing with no emotion, just listened to them scream and felt nothing. The next few voicemails were more of the same. Threats and anger and panic. He said he called the bank and they said the bonds were gone. Said he called his lawyer and they were looking into pressing charges. Said he was going to hunt me down and take everything back. I deleted those and moved to the next ones. His voice changed in these. Less angry, more desperate, more scared. Dad, please. I need that money. I'm in trouble. I owe people. Bad people. If I don't pay them by Monday, they're going to hurt me. Please, Dad, I'm your son. You can't do this to me. I'm begging you. I laughed out loud at that one. Now I'm his dad. Now I'm his father. When he needed something, suddenly he remembered. But when he wanted to humiliate me, I was just Robert, just the old man. Just the servant who scrubbed his floors. The next voicemail was him crying. Actually crying, his voice breaking and shaking. Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I was wrong. I treated you terrible. I know that now. Please come back. Please give me another chance. I'll change, I swear. I'll be better. Just please, I need that money. I'll lose the house. I'll lose everything. Please, Dad. I'm your son. Your only son. You can't leave me like this. His wife left messages too. Her voice sweet now instead of mean. Mr. Johnson, please come home. We miss you. We were wrong to treat you that way. Your family. We love you. Please just bring everything back and we can forget this happened. We won't be mad. We just want you home safe. I laughed at that one too. She never called me Mr. Johnson before. Always called me old man or hey you. Now suddenly it's Mr. Johnson and please and we love you lies. All lies. They didn't love me. They loved my money. They loved having a free servant. That's all I ever was to them. More calls came through while I sat there. My phone rang and rang. I watched my son's name flash on the screen over and over. Each call more desperate than the last. I thought about answering. Thought about telling him exactly how it felt to have everything taken away. But I didn't. I just let it ring. Let him suffer. Let him panic and cry and beg into nothing. He made me beg for basic respect. Made me beg for food. Made me beg to be treated like a human. Now it was his turn to beg. And I wasn't listening. I blocked my son's number that afternoon. Blocked his wife too. I didn't want to hear from them ever again. Didn't want their fake apologies or their threats or their begging. They were dead to me now. The same way I was dead to them when they made me sleep in the basement and eat alone in the corner. I spent the first week at my cousin's house just resting. Sleeping in a real bed. Eating real meals at a table with people who talked to me like I mattered. My cousin and his wife never asked about the money. Never asked what happened. They just let me heal. Let me be human again. After a week I started looking for my own place. I found a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood. 1 bedroom with big windows and wood floors. It cost $1,500 a month. I paid for a whole year up front in cash. The landlord didn't ask questions, just took the money and gave me the keys. I moved in with my 2 duffel bags and nothing else. I didn't need anything else. I went to the bank and opened a safety deposit box, put my wife's jewelry inside where it belonged, where it was safe, where my son could never touch it again. I held that diamond necklace for a long time before I put it away. Remembered the day I gave it to her. Remembered how she cried and said it was too much. But I wanted her to have it. Wanted her to know how much I loved her. And now it was mine again, safe again. I took the bonds and the cash to a financial advisor, a woman my cousin recommended. She helped me set everything up properly, put it in accounts only I could access. Accounts my son couldn't touch even if he found me. She said I had about $1.2 million total. Enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life if I was careful. I told her I didn't need much. Just a simple life. Just peace. She smiled and said that was the best thing money could buy. She was right. I lived cheap my whole life. I didn't need fancy things. I just needed to be free. And now I was. My knee healed slowly. I went to a doctor who gave me physical therapy exercises. My back got better too. Turns out when you're not scrubbing floors on your knees and carrying heavy trays and being treated like garbage, your body actually heals. I started taking walks every morning, just walking through the neighborhood and breathing clean air and watching normal people live normal lives. Nobody knew me here. Nobody knew my story. I was just another old man living quiet. And that's exactly what I wanted. I made a few friends at the community center. Other older people who played cards and drank coffee and told stories. They asked where I was from, and I said the States. They asked if I had family, and I said no, not anymore. They didn't push. Everyone has their secrets. Everyone has their pain. We just sat together and played cards and laughed about stupid things, and it was enough, more than enough. It was everything. Sometimes I think about my son. Wonder if he lost his house. Wonder if those bad people he owed money to came after him. Wonder if his wife left him when the money ran out. Then I stop wondering because I don't actually care. He made his choices. He chose to be cruel, chose to humiliate me, chose to treat his own father like an animal. Now he lives with the consequences. I sleep fine at night knowing what I did, sleep better than I have in years. Because I didn't steal from him, I took back what was mine, my money, my wife's jewelry, my dignity, my life. I sit in my Toronto apartment now looking out the window at the snow. It's peaceful here, quiet. Nobody yells at me, nobody makes me scrub floors, nobody puts their foot on my back. I'm just an old man living alone with enough money to be comfortable and enough peace to be happy. My son thought he broke me, thought he won, but he forgot something important. The man you force to his knees can still stand up, can still walk away, can still take everything you have and leave you with nothing. He made me scrub his floor at 82 years old. I cleaned out his safe at 3 a.m. and took back my life, my money, and my dignity. And I would do it again.